such a cool idea to build. Why didn't I figure it out myself? Let's learn how to build stone golem.
Round 1.
Building a stone golem is very different from recreating a familiar Minecraft character because there's much more freedom to invent its appearance. I start with ordinary stone blocks and stone stairs, combining them to create a creature that looks as though it was carved directly from the mountainside. Stone has always symbolized strength, permanence, and resilience in architecture, which makes it a perfect material for a giant guardian. Instead of giving the golem long, elegant proportions, I build it with a compact body that emphasizes weight and stability. Large fantasy creatures often look more powerful when their center of gravity appears low, since broad, sturdy shapes naturally suggest incredible strength. Even before the finer details are added, the statue already gives the impression that it could stand watch over the landscape for centuries without ever moving. The head becomes the centerpiece of the build, so I shape it with the familiar proportions of a Minecraft villager, complete with a large nose. Borrowing recognizable features is a common technique in creature design because it gives viewers something familiar to connect with while still introducing an entirely new character. The combination of a villager-like face and a massive stone body creates an interesting contrast between wisdom and raw power. Above the torso, I raise both arms high into the air, making the golem appear as though it's proudly supporting something enormous. Dynamic poses are especially important in large statues because they create movement without requiring animation. Even a simple change in arm position can completely transform the personality of a build, making it feel active instead of standing stiffly in place. To soften the harsh stone exterior, I decorate the lower part of the golem's body with patches of leaves. Nature reclaiming ancient stone is a theme that appears throughout fantasy art, mythology, and even real-world ruins. When plants begin growing across rock surfaces, they suggest that the structure has existed for an incredibly long time, quietly becoming part of the surrounding environment. This combination of natural and artificial materials creates visual contrast while also telling a story without using words. The result is a guardian that doesn't feel newly constructed, but instead appears to have watched over the forest for generations, gradually becoming one with the landscape itself. With the golem itself complete, I turn my attention to the structure it will carry in its raised hands. Instead of placing an ordinary platform, I build a small house from spruce planks, giving it a warm, natural appearance that contrasts beautifully with the cold gray stone below. Combining different materials is one of the oldest principles in architecture because contrast helps each part of a structure stand out while still feeling connected to the whole. The dark wooden walls immediately catch the eye against the lighter stone, making the house feel like a special destination rather than just another decorative element. It almost looks as though the golem has been entrusted with protecting a tiny home high above the ground, safely beyond the reach of ordinary dangers. Rather than making the house a simple box, I round the corners slightly and give the windows a more decorative shape using glass blocks and glass panes. Small architectural details often have a surprisingly large impact on how welcoming a building feels. Windows aren't only sources of light, they also influence the personality of a structure by changing its rhythm, proportions, and overall silhouette. Builders frequently combine full glass blocks with thinner panes because the different depths create a much richer facade than using only one material. Even in Minecraft, where every element is built from cubes, subtle variations like these help a compact house feel carefully designed instead of overly simplistic. To finish the miniature home, I cover the roof with patches of leaves, blending the building into the surrounding environment. Greenery is one of the easiest ways to make architecture feel alive, because plants naturally soften hard edges and introduce organic shapes that contrast with straight building lines. Many real-world architects deliberately incorporate vegetation into rooftops and terraces, not only because it looks beautiful, but also because it helps structures feel more connected to nature. Here, the leafy roof reinforces the fantasy theme of the entire build. The stone guardian and the wooden house no longer feel like separate creations. They become one complete scene, suggesting a peaceful sanctuary resting safely in the hands of an ancient protector. To give the stone golem a true sense of age, I weave vines across its body and replace a few smooth stone blocks with cobblestone. Weathering is one of the most effective storytelling techniques in environmental design because it suggests that a structure has existed for far longer than the player has. Real stone monuments rarely remain perfectly clean for decades, let alone centuries. Rain, wind, changing temperatures, and growing vegetation gradually transform their appearance, creating cracks, discoloration, and rougher surfaces over time. By mixing regular stone with cobblestone, the golem gains that same feeling of natural wear, while the vines reinforce the idea that nature has slowly embraced the giant guardian. Instead of looking freshly built, the finished statue feels like an ancient protector that has quietly stood watch over the landscape for generations, becoming a permanent part of the world around it. Whew, it took so much effort. Great, my stone golem is ready.
Hello?
Hey, Carrie, look, I built it. Do you like?
No.
What? Does such a stone golem lose any opportunity to protect its owner because its hands are full?
Oh.
It's a pity, but I tried so hard. Maybe then you'll try to build the best stone golem yourself?
Yay!
They ran to the place. This is where your building will be. Are you ready?
Yahoo!
Then go ahead.
Round 2.
Carrie takes a very different approach by basing her stone golem on the copper golem that was once introduced as a Minecraft mob vote candidate. Instead of trying to create a rough humanoid giant, she recreates its distinctive proportions while replacing the original copper with various kinds of stone. Most of the body is built from regular stone, but she also incorporates cobblestone, mossy cobblestone, and dark stone to give the surface a naturally weathered appearance. Mixing several related materials is a common technique when building statues because perfectly uniform textures can make large models appear flat and artificial. By allowing different shades and textures to blend together, the golem immediately looks older, heavier, and much more believable, as though it has stood outside for countless years while slowly being shaped by nature itself. The face is what makes the inspiration immediately recognizable. Carrie builds the eyes from sandstone together with sandstone fences, creating a warm contrast against the cool gray stone body. Choosing a lighter material for the eyes naturally draws attention toward the character's expression, a technique that's widely used in both sculpture and character design. Our eyes are instinctively attracted to areas of high contrast, which is why artists often emphasize the face more than any other part of a figure. Even though the rest of the golem is intentionally rugged and textured, the brighter facial details ensure that players immediately focus on the head, giving the statue a much stronger visual presence from a distance. To reinforce the copper golem's familiar silhouette, Carrie builds a small antenna on top of its head using the same collection of stone materials as the rest of the body. Repeating materials throughout a build is an important design principle because it creates visual continuity and makes every new detail feel like a natural extension of the structure rather than an afterthought. Antennas are often used in robot and fantasy creature designs because they instantly give a character a more mechanical or magical appearance without requiring complicated geometry. Although it's only a small feature, it becomes one of the most recognizable parts of the statue, helping players identify the inspiration behind the build even before every finishing touch has been added. Once the stone body is finished, Carrie begins blending the golem into the landscape by covering its head, antenna, and shoulders with a thin layer of grass blocks. This is a clever environmental storytelling technique because it suggests the statue hasn't just been placed there, it has become part of the world over a very long period of time. In nature, abandoned structures rarely remain unchanged. Wind carries seeds, rain nourishes new growth, and eventually plants begin reclaiming even the strongest stone. Game artists often use this idea to communicate age without saying a single word. A few carefully placed patches of greenery can completely change how players interpret a build, transforming it from a freshly constructed monument into an ancient relic that has quietly stood through countless seasons. Carrie takes that concept even further by planting a tree on one shoulder and another on top of the golem's head. Trees are usually associated with permanence and the passage of time because they require years to reach maturity. Seeing them growing directly from the statue immediately creates the impression that the stone golem has remained perfectly still for an incredibly long time. allowing an entire miniature ecosystem to develop around it. This contrast between immense strength and peaceful nature makes the build feel surprisingly harmonious. Rather than appearing like a fearsome giant, the golem becomes a silent guardian whose presence supports life instead of disturbing it. The finished statue tells a story entirely through its materials and composition, showing how architecture, nature, and fantasy can blend together into a single memorable creation. One of the most interesting aspects of Carrie's design is that the vegetation doesn't feel like decoration placed on top of the statue. It feels like an essential part of the creature itself. Fantasy artists often blur the boundary between architecture and nature to make enormous guardians appear ancient and wise rather than simply powerful. Moss, grass, and trees soften the harsh geometry of stone, creating a balance between strength and life. That contrast is exactly what makes many legendary stone creatures so memorable. Instead of looking like an ordinary statue carved from rock, this stone golem seems to have become a living piece of the landscape, as though the surrounding forest has slowly accepted it as one of its own. The combination of several stone textures with patches of greenery also creates a much richer visual rhythm than using a single material everywhere. Builders frequently alternate between smooth surfaces and rougher ones because our eyes naturally enjoy subtle variation. Cobblestone, mossy cobblestone, dark stone, and regular stone all catch light differently, preventing the massive body from becoming visually monotonous. The grass and trees then introduce completely different colors and organic shapes, giving the statue clear focal points without overwhelming its silhouette. Even though the golem is enormous, every material has a purpose and contributes to one unified composition. By the time the final details are finished, Carrie's stone golem tells a complete story without relying on animation or dialogue. The weathered stone, the mechanical-inspired silhouette, the grassy shoulders, and the trees growing from its body all suggest that this guardian has watched over the same place for an unimaginably long time. Great environmental design often works exactly this way. It encourages viewers to imagine the history of a structure instead of explaining everything directly. Rather than appearing abandoned or forgotten, the golem feels peaceful and enduring, like an ancient monument that has quietly become part of the world itself, standing as a reminder that even the strongest creations can eventually exist in harmony with nature.
Ta-da! Yay!
Where did everyone run off to? Hey, guys, what's all that noise?
Carrie and I are building stone golem, JJ. Who did it better?
Oh, both of your buildings look great, but I think it's up to the audience to decide who did the best.
Yes, JJ, you're right. Maybe then you have comments on the construction of Carrie?
I really like how Carrie conveyed the process of turning the stone golem to nature.
I totally agree with you, JJ. Maybe you will build a stone golem.
Okay,
JJ, good luck to you. We'll wait in the house.
But
thanks guys, then I'm starting. Round 3. The foundation of any giant statue begins with strong proportions. So I start by building the legs and the lower torso from regular stone, stone stairs, and stone slabs. Combining full blocks with smaller stone pieces allows the figure to feel much less rigid than if it were built from cubes alone. Builders often use stairs and slabs to soften transitions between large surfaces, creating the illusion of curves while still working within Minecraft's block-based world. This technique is especially effective on massive statues because the viewer rarely notices each individual block. Instead, the eye blends the different shapes together, making the finished structure appear heavier, more natural, and far closer to a carved monument than a simple stack of stone. As the lower half takes shape, I focus on giving the golem a stable stance that communicates strength before any decorative details are added. Large fantasy guardians are often designed with broad legs and a balanced posture because these proportions naturally suggest immense weight and stability. Whether in mythology, films, or video games, creatures built to protect ancient places are usually portrayed as solid, immovable figures that seem impossible to push aside. By establishing that powerful silhouette first, every section built afterward has a strong foundation to support it, making the entire stone golem feel as though it truly belongs among towering cliffs and ancient mountains. With the lower body complete, I move on to the front of the stone golem, keeping the torso relatively compact so the creature feels broad and incredibly sturdy rather than tall and slender. Creature designers often adjust body proportions to influence how powerful a character appears. A shorter torso shifts more visual weight toward the shoulders and arms, making the figure seem capable of tremendous strength even before those massive limbs are added. It's a common technique in fantasy art because viewers instinctively associate wide, compressed forms with resilience and raw power. By avoiding an elongated body, the golem immediately gains the appearance of a guardian built to endure anything the world can throw at it. The head becomes the centerpiece of the statue, so I shape it from stone before creating the eyes with nether blocks and igniting them to produce a glowing effect. Bright, illuminated eyes are one of the oldest visual symbols used to suggest that a giant construct is truly alive. Throughout mythology and fantasy, ancient guardians often appear dormant until their eyes suddenly begin to glow, instantly transforming an ordinary statue into a living protector. The warm light also creates a dramatic contrast against the cold, gray stone, naturally drawing attention toward the face. Even though the build remains completely stationary, those glowing eyes make the golem feel as if it's silently watching everything around it, ready to awaken the moment its territory is threatened. The remaining parts of the stone golem are completed using stone blocks, bringing the entire figure together into one solid structure. When creating a large statue, one of the most important challenges is making sure every part feels connected instead of looking like separate pieces placed next to each other. In real sculpture, artists usually begin with a basic shape and gradually add more details until the final form appears complete. Large stone statues throughout history were created using the same idea, first establishing the main volume, then refining the smaller elements that give the sculpture its personality. The same principle works in Minecraft, where the builder needs to think about the overall silhouette, proportions, and balance of the creation. Stone is a perfect material for this type of character because it naturally gives the impression of strength, durability, and weight. By continuing the same material across the body, the stone golem starts to look like a single massive creature carved from rock rather than a simple collection of blocks. The left arm becomes one of the most important parts of the stone golem because it helps define the character's size and powerful appearance. I build the entire arm from stone blocks, extending it all the way down to the ground and making it feel like a natural continuation of the massive body. In creature design and sculpture, the arms are not only functional parts, they are also important elements that communicate strength and personality. A larger, heavier-looking arm can make a character appear more powerful, while the position and shape of the limb can influence the entire posture of the figure. This is why artists who create statues and fictional creatures carefully study proportions, making sure that every part supports the main idea of the design. In Minecraft, creating a giant creature requires the same kind of thinking because the wrong proportions can make the entire build feel unnatural. The connection between the body and the arm is especially important because it helps the stone golem look like one living creature instead of separate blocks arranged together. Adding texture to the arm makes the stone golem feel much more detailed and realistic. Instead of creating a completely flat surface, I shape the stone to look as if the arm has muscle structure hidden beneath its rocky exterior. Even though a stone creature does not have real muscles like a living being, using similar visual ideas helps communicate power and movement. In traditional sculpture, artists often create the illusion of muscles, folds, and natural forms by changing the depth and shape of a surface. These small differences make a statue feel more dynamic because the viewer's eye can understand how the body is built. The same principle applies to Minecraft, where different block placements can create the impression of complex shapes even though everything is made from cubes. A textured arm gives the stone golem more character and makes it look like an ancient creature carved from a living mountain. Making the arm reach all the way to the ground also changes the way the entire stone golem interacts with its environment. In real architecture and sculpture, the connection between a structure and the ground is extremely important because it affects how stable and powerful the object appears. Ancient monuments and giant statues often use wide bases and strong lower sections to create a feeling of permanence. The same idea works here. The massive stone arm touching the ground makes the creature feel heavier and more intimidating. It creates the impression that the stone golem is not just standing in the world, but is actually connected to it, almost like part of the landscape itself. This combination of scale, texture, and material choice helps transform a simple Minecraft figure into a believable giant guardian made from stone. The second arm of the stone golem is created using the same approach as the first one, keeping the creature balanced and symmetrical. Symmetry is one of the most common principles used in both art and engineering because it creates a feeling of stability and order. When people look at a large figure, they naturally expect the left and right sides to have a certain relationship with each other. This does not mean every detail must be identical, but the overall proportions should feel connected. In sculpture, symmetrical designs are often used for powerful characters, monuments, and statues because they make the object appear stronger and more impressive. By giving the stone golem two massive stone arms, the build gains a more complete silhouette and a stronger presence. The creature starts to look less like a simple structure and more like a carefully designed guardian created to protect its surroundings. Just like the first arm, the second one receives additional texture to create the appearance of muscles beneath the stone surface. Creating realistic textures in Minecraft is a challenge because every block has the same basic shape, but clever placement can create the illusion of curves, depth, and movement. This technique is similar to how artists work with materials like clay or stone in real life. Sculptors do not simply create a basic human or animal shape. They use changes in the surface to show tension, strength, and form. A raised area can represent a powerful muscle, while a deeper section can create shadows and make the shape easier to understand. These small details are what transform a simple statue into a more expressive piece of art. The second arm also helps complete the overall posture of the stone golem and makes the creature feel more massive. In character design, the pose of a figure is extremely important because it tells the viewer what kind of personality the character has. A creature with large arms and a heavy stance can appear strong, ancient, and almost impossible to move. Many legendary creatures in mythology and fantasy use this idea. Their size and physical form represent their power. The stone golem follows a similar concept, using its huge stone body to communicate strength before it even moves. By carefully building both arms with the same material, texture, and scale, the entire figure becomes more believable and visually balanced, showing how good design can make even a block-based creature feel alive. The shoulders of the stone golem are redesigned using grass blocks on top, creating an interesting contrast between the rough stone body and the living nature growing on it. This combination of materials changes the story behind the creature's design because it makes the golem feel like something that has existed for a very long time. In fantasy worlds, ancient creatures are often shown as being connected to nature, with plants, moss, or other elements slowly becoming part of their bodies. The same idea can be seen in real life through abandoned buildings and monuments where vegetation gradually grows over stone surfaces. This process is called natural succession, when plants begin to appear and transform an environment over time. By adding grass to the stone golem, the build creates the feeling that the creature is not just a statue, but an ancient guardian that has been standing in the world for centuries. The crystal quartz blocks placed on the head add another layer of contrast and make the upper part of the golem more unique. Quartz is often associated with purity, crystals, and natural formations, which creates an interesting visual difference compared to the heavy stone structure below. The idea of combining rock and crystal appears frequently in fantasy design because crystals are usually represented as rare and powerful materials. Growing trees on the grassy surface of the head makes the connection with nature even stronger, turning the stone golem into something that feels like part of the landscape itself. In real ecosystems, even the hardest surfaces can eventually become homes for plants when enough time passes. This combination of stone, grass, trees, and crystals creates a story through materials, showing that a great design is not only about how something looks, but also about what kind of world it suggests. A build can tell the viewer that this creature is ancient, powerful, and closely connected to the environment around it. Creating an entrance inside the stone golem changes the build from a simple statue into a structure that can be explored from within. I create a passage inside the body, add the missing blocks, remove unnecessary ones, and place ladders to make movement between areas more convenient. In real architecture, the inside organization of a structure is just as important as its exterior appearance. Many impressive buildings are remembered for their outside design, but their functionality depends on how well the interior spaces are planned. Turning the stone golem into a place that players can enter creates an interesting contrast between sculpture and architecture. From the outside, it looks like a massive ancient creature, but inside, it becomes a hidden world with its own purpose. This approach is often used in creative design because the best structures can surprise people by offering more than what they expect from the exterior. A build becomes much more memorable when it is not only something to look at, but also something to experience. The lower floor of the stone golem becomes a practical interior space where useful Minecraft elements are placed to make the structure feel like a real base rather than just a giant statue. I add different chests, furnaces, an enchanting table, and bookshelves, creating an area that combines storage, crafting, and knowledge. In architecture, functional spaces are usually designed around the activities that will happen inside them. A good building is not only about impressive shapes, it also needs areas that support everyday tasks. The same idea can be applied to Minecraft builds, where the purpose of a room helps decide what objects belong there. Chests represent organization and storage, while furnaces connect the space with crafting and resource processing, which are some of the main mechanics of the game. The enchanting table and bookshelves add another layer because they represent learning, magic, and progression. In many cultures, books and libraries have been connected with knowledge and discovery, which is why shelves are often used in designs that represent intelligence and creativity. It's time for furniture. The upper part of the stone golem becomes a personal living space where I create a bedroom with a television and wardrobes, giving the giant structure a more comfortable and human feeling. Interior design is not only about adding objects to an empty room, it is about creating an atmosphere and showing how a space is meant to be used. A bedroom is usually one of the most personal areas in any building because it reflects the preferences and lifestyle of the person who lives there. The contrast between the ancient exterior of the stone golem and the cozy bedroom inside makes the build more interesting because it combines two completely different concepts. Great! My stone golem is ready. It's time for me to show it to the guys.
Wow, JJ, you've got such an unusual stone golem. It's completely atypical for the Minecraft world, but in the real world, it seems to me that golems would be just like that.
Thank you guys. I am very glad that you liked my building. Friends, be sure to write in the comments whose building you liked the most. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right.
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.